Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey in Your Own Backyard. I am Rob and joined as always by Carter. Carter, how you doing?
Doing great, man.
Hey, we got a fun guest joining us today. We appreciate him taking some time to come join us on the program and talk a little whiskey. ADHD, I've got the same problem he has. ADHD Whiskey is joining us. Matt Porter, a.k.a. World's top whiskey taster for a few more months. I guess you get to hold the title, Matt, for forever.
Yeah, it's like the presidency. Like so just after this year, they're just going to have, armed security around me for the rest of my life.
It's amazing. Yeah, the salary forever.
That's right.
I did like when you were doing your the tournament that you did. What would we call that?
Madness.
Match Madness. That's what it was. That
was a lot of fun.
People got on and saw under, where your screen was, the title there, instead of saying your name or ADHD Whiskey, it said WTWT, and I just got a kick out of people thinking it was, you were a big fan of Wild Turkey or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, they wanted us to use that hashtag on Instagram when we were promoting World's Top Whiskey Taster. And I did, and then it was pointed out that WTWT, that hashtag, means something totally different.
Can you share that?
Oh, well, maybe you just want to check it out for yourself. But probably you don't.
All right.
It's a lot of really half-naked, muscular, oily men. And although I also fit that category, I don't think that's what they're looking for.
Well, in our show, Matt, we're going to talk a little whiskey. We sent you a blind. To kind of go through. You don't have any key to it, so you don't know what you're drinking. And we thought it might be fun just to have you kind of drink them in the order that we sent them, and then just rank your top two, and then just pick your final, your favorite at the end, and then we'll reveal them, and we'll just kind of let you know what you were drinking tonight as we just kind of talk whiskey. We do on our show because, people know you from ADHD Whiskey, but a lot of times when guests come on, there's a particular subject or whatever, they know about that subject. But they're like, we don't know the person that well that's coming on. What are they like, kind of pulling the veil back a little bit. So we're going to, as we go through the show today, we're going to ask you 5 questions to get to know you a little better. Okay?
All right. I'll give you 4 answers.
I'm gonna bet you give us 5 because you're going to like the questions.
You're going to like the questions, yeah.
I might give you way more than 5. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
So to start off, let's start with question number 1 while you're getting ready to pour the first sample that we sent you.
America.
There you go. Question number 1. What's your favorite 80s movie?
Favorite 80s movie?
Yeah, favorite 80s movie.
If these are the type of questions, you're going to have some editing to do because not quite the think around my feet, but 80s movie, shoot. Whew.
There's a lot.
This is very difficult.
List. Yeah.
So here's what we'll do. We'll give you a minute to think as we start talking, and then as you kind of decide what that answer would be, you can just share it with us. So I want to let everybody know they can find you and follow you or subscribe to you on YouTube. And you've got Patreon, and give them the Patreon address.
It's just patreon.com/ADHD Whiskey.
I always forget the slash part. That's why I wanted to make sure you said it. I didn't say it wrong.
Gotcha.
And then you have a Facebook group that people can join and hang out and share and talk and kind of participate in there.
Yep. It's just it's a small group right now and kind of like it that way. It's just people who watch the channel, try to keep it to that group so that it's just people who are familiar with what, the group is doing, what the channel's doing. And not just trying to sling bottles left and right.
Exactly. And then do you do anything else on Instagram or are you in Twitter? Or you do anything else where people can follow you?
I have an Instagram, and it's just ADHD Whiskey on Instagram.
Okay.
I don't know. I post pictures of whatever's kind of going on. I'm active on there, but it's nothing spectacular.
Yeah.
It's grown, which is weird. I never expected it to grow. But yeah, I'm on Instagram. And my wife recently forced me to start a TikTok, which is miserable. It's miserable.
Okay. TikTok, my wife is hooked on TikTok. And she's, every 10 minutes handing the phone going, check this video out. So I'm assuming what's kind of what's your kind of your stick on TikTok? Are you doing something different than what we see in your videos?
I mean, a little bit. It's more TikTok-y. It's like, I don't know. Someone on TikTok the other day was like, hey, you know what? You should follow bourbon stuff on TikTok if you want to get followers. And in my head, I said, I don't want followers. I'm only here because my wife made me here. And I don't want to see more bourbon stuff. I am literally in over my head with bourbon. So, how am I going to get my other stuff that I require, like cooking and, what's the conspiracy theories? That's where I go for my conspiracy theories.
Do you like to cook?
Oh boy. Yes, but 4-year-old, 5-year-old, whose palates are totally different. So it's difficult.
Yeah, no, I get it. You're at that stage in your life. It's quick meals. It's making sure it's foods they like. I totally get that. But in general, you like to cook, and if you can cook out back and do things like that, you enjoy that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something that I know that when the kids grow up a little bit, I'm going to start experimenting quite a bit more, with cooking. And then we've been traveling around so much that it's been impossible to even have a grill.
Oh,
so
wow.
We've been all over the country for the past 1.5 years, 2 years. So we were staying in Airbnbs, and it was difficult to even find good cookware there.
Oh, yeah.
That's bad. Yeah, we were talking with Perry, and he was telling us that you were doing a lot of traveling.
You might say traveling. We might say moving.
Moving from place to place. I mean, yeah.
Lots of miles.
I actually
guess how many bourbon bottles I broke in.
I'm going to say 0, or you wouldn't have brought it up. Huh? I'm going to say 0, or you wouldn't have brought it up.
0. That's the correct answer.
Yeah.
I think we moved 9 times or something like that. 0 bottles broken.
Wow.
So whenever anybody asks how to move with a bunch of bottles, you literally just throw them in a plastic tote with wheels on the back, and you move. That's all you do.
Is that really what you did?
Oh yeah.
And what kind of transport vehicle is this going in the car? Is it going in the truck? Is it going in a trailer? What are you pushing that in?
A U-Haul trailer.
Really?
Front of a U-Haul trailer. Yep.
Wow.
I'm impressed.
So they're just like jangling around, but
Yeah, I actually just ended up moving, and I packed up my collection, which was about 350 bottles, and I was really careful with it. So maybe I shouldn't have been so careful and just thrown them in a tub.
You didn't have to waste all that time, dude.
Yeah, no. And then I just saw the steam coming out of my wife's ears.
All right, have you thought of an answer?
It's really bad when you're moving this stuff, because once you start putting them in totes, you realize how much you have. And trying to sneak out like a 200-pound tote in front of the wife without her being like, that's your 5th tote, is pretty hard.
Oh, yeah. Well, my wife was actually helping me catalog everything. She
put
it together on a spreadsheet, and it was
Matt got an ass chewing, just so.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
Going back to the 80s movie.
Yeah.
For some reason, okay, my brain does not work at all. So if I saw a list of 80s movies, I'd be like, okay, yeah. But for some reason, and I don't even know if this was from the 80s, and probably was, but He-Man, Masters of the Universe, how about that?
Oh, yeah.
80s?
Oh, that's 80s. Yeah.
For sure.
Skeletor, my man. Yeah, absolutely.
Like Skeletor gets kicked down the hole at the end. Spoiler alert, sorry.
Yeah, spoiler alert, 30 years later.
Yeah.
No, that's a good answer.
That's
I like
cool.
that. All right, what are you thinking about what's in glass number 1 for you? Sample number 1.
What do I think it is, or what do I think about it? Or
what do you think about it? I mean, if you want to call your shot, Carter here likes to call his shot when he has samples.
Okay.
Yeah, do that now.
I've only sniffed it so far, so I should probably taste it.
Huh? You're welcome to tell us if you think you know what it is, but you're also just what you think about it. Do you like it? Don't like it? Kind of what you might pay for it. Just kind of go like in that kind of analysis.
It's delicious.
Okay.
It's delicious. It is. For some reason, I want to say it's got some dusty characteristics to it. I don't know if that's because it is a dusty. It reminds me of a dusty turkey. That's kind of what it reminds me of. But lower proof, 90s, I think. Maybe like low hundreds. I don't know, but it reminds me of a Dusty Turkey. It smells amazing. The palate is great, super viscous. It's really got a nice cherry note and a decent amount of oak. I did have pad thai a little bit ago.
Okay.
This is the first thing I've tasted after the pad thai.
Okay.
And so there's a bit of pad thai in there, of course.
Is it a
That rounds it out a little bit.
peanut characteristic?
Well, pad thai comes with peanuts, chopped peanuts.
Yeah, that's
in
what
it.
I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Should we?
But yeah, this is amazing stuff. I like this a lot.
So tell us about your bottle. We have your pick here from Knob Creek. Did you pick this with a group of people, I'm assuming, or did you do this on your own, or how did you pick this bottle?
So, so far, anything I've picked has just been done myself because with the whole pandemic and everything,
Yeah.
just getting samples sent. And I haven't been in an area where there's a group of people to pick stuff with. So that one was sent to me in late May, and I just had a few days to really decide on a sample. So it was chosen out of either 3 or 4, however many Knob Creek sends. I think it was 4.
Okay.
4 different samples. And yeah, that one I thought was really the most least like a peanutty Knob Creek. It was a little bit different. It was a little bit off profile. Lots of cinnamon. And it was actually, I think, 121 proof out of the barrel. So they
Nice.
didn't have to add water to it barely.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah.
What's the age on it?
By the way, I got. I think they're all 9 years now.
Oh, not all 9 years.
But I have to give Knob Creek some credit. They've stepped up their wax game. It's a lot better
Big time.
than it used to be.
I like the new bottle, too.
And then on this one here, it said it was picked on a date. It doesn't say bottled on. It says picked on or barrel selected on or something like that. So it actually wasn't bottled until early October or late September. So it's almost 10 years old.
Nice.
Okay, yeah, very cool. And the label, Knob Creek. Thoughts behind that? Are you a former hardwood, jumping out of the gym, dunking over people kind of guy?
Okay, this is going to sound weird, but I have recurring dreams where I can dunk a basketball. And I don't know why, but I have them. And I just kind of put it on paper and just had DC, Mr. Daniel Carter, draw it up. And that was it.
He
Just
does
the
some
old
pretty good
alley-oop.
stuff.
Mm-hmm. So it's a real slam dunk, we say.
Yeah, I love the barrel. I mean, people can't see the label who are listening to the podcast, but on the label, you got a little alley-oop coming with what looks like maybe, what is it, a 15-gallon barrel, and that you're going to throw it down a little bit.
My favorite part is the audience members.
Yeah.
If you haven't looked
Well,
close
yeah, and
enough.
I like Dave's wife throwing you the bird over there.
Yeah,
She doesn't care about nothing.
I just can't believe you put Grease in there.
And he's front and center right there, too.
Next to his buddy, too. They're good pals. Sean looks very serious, like he's really concentrating on, what like he's going to give you some stylistic grade after you throw this down or something. He's
The
just
nuances
really
of the
serious
game.
on that label. In a suit, too.
That's the way he is. He's a serious guy.
Okay.
I can tell you the nose on this is very nice.
So let's have you go ahead and pour number 2. So you kind of,
Alrighty.
I think, in my opinion, you got to have something to kind of compare that first one to kind of figure out where you're going to put it. And while you're starting to do that, question number 2 in our 5 questions for our guests is, if you go back into your childhood years, all the way up into your teenage years, what's a food or a meal, or is there a restaurant that, maybe the family went to once a month or whatever, that you would say was your favorite part of that part of your life, your, youth, teenage, whatever it might be, but mom cooked a meal, grandma, going to grandma's house, she made a meal, whatever it might be. What was your favorite food memory during those years?
That's a good question. Let me think about that for a second. I smell
wow.
number 2.
That's what she said.
This is solid.
Favorite
Yeah.
food.
You have a nice pick here. A lot of cherry on this.
It's very fruit forward.
Very fruit forward. How did you Do you remember kind of what you liked about this bottle that you picked, this Knob Creek?
It was, so when I was picking it, I wasn't really trying to pick out notes. I was just, what I typically do is, especially if I get samples, like a set of 4 samples, I'll taste through them and I'll just rank them based off of how much I enjoy them.
Okay.
Then I'll mix, then I'll mix them up and I'll rank them again, and I'll mix them up and I'll rank them again and again. So I'll do it like 10 times, and then I'll see what order I put them in 10 times. And then if it's number 1, if it's like first place, I'll give it a 1. If it's second place, I'll give it a 2. And then at the end of it, the lowest number is my favorite.
I love that idea.
That makes sense.
Is that over like a couple of weeks that you do that, I'm guessing?
I did it for like an evening, and then I'll do it for like another evening. So I'll kind of separate. Like I'll do 5 tastings.
Okay.
Like I'll go through 5 times, and then I'll separate and go through another 5 times. So then that means that every time I tasted them, there was one of them that I enjoyed more than the others, and this one wasn't even really close. It was just overall a lot more viscous, and overall just a much better experience on the palate than the other ones I tried. Okay. But then afterwards, I discovered it's a little bit off profile. Still some nuttiness, but not as much as typical. And then, yeah, fruit forward, like some stone fruit on there, and a little bit of oak on the back end, which was nice.
So we're huge fans of Knob Creek, and obviously you picked this barrel, you are too. Where do you put Knob Creek as far as, like, to me, it flies a little bit under the radar as far as getting in the bourbon community, getting, love or accolades for putting out really good products, just on the shelf products. I think, they're 9-year 100 proof at, $35. Yeah, $35 here in the Houston area is a great value, but you used to get those great picks at 14, 15 years that were $60 a pop, but
I should have bought every one of them.
Yeah. But how do you kind of look at this, Knob Creek? Where do you kind of rank that with things that you enjoy drinking?
It's the single barrel Knob Creek is, I consider, probably the most underrated bottle on the market. People search for all these barrel proof options. I mean, Elijah Craig, Stagg Jr. and stuff, but the Knob Creek is incredible.
Yeah.
The value is great. It's age dated 9 years plus. And they're great. Knob Creek is one bottle, the single barrel, that I find myself going to more than anything. If I have a bottle at home, it's like, what am I going to drink tonight? Knob Creek, like so often.
Yeah, like for me, like I have a bunch of bottles of Knob Creek single barrel, and for me, I'm like, well, I can generally get another one of these, so like I don't even feel bad about like, hey, I'll just go ahead and drink it. It's not like special occasion; it's just damn good.
Number 2 is really good. Number 2 reminds me of number 1 a lot, but maybe higher proof. I don't know.
But you like number 2.
Maybe older too. It's very oaky.
Okay.
And
you're going to kind of have to remember these because we're going to ask you to pick your top 2 after all 4.
Right. Yeah, that's going to be a problem probably, considering the first 2 are both really good. Number 2 is, it's weird because these are familiar. Like I've had them before, but unfamiliar. Like I've only had them maybe once or twice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's clicking in my brain that I love it, and I've had it, and I just can't place my finger on from where or how, but these are really, really enjoyable. These are, if these aren't special, I'd be very surprised because they taste special.
Okay.
And when you're like, oh, you'd be like, these are 4 Blantons. I'm going to be like, son of a.
You don't think we'd put a Blanton's in there on you, do you?
You might.
Okay. Very possible. All right.
But no, this is definitely not a Blanton's.
Back to the food. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Oh, yes. Oh, food. You know what? I would say that my mom used to make birthday cakes every year.
Okay.
So she would frost them herself, and she spent an entire, I don't know, a day frosting cakes for our birthday. So it was like a bunch of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cakes or stuff like that. Those are always really special. And also cinnamon rolls on Christmas morning.
Ooh, that's a good
She'd
one.
always be up all night making cinnamon rolls on Christmas Eve. So Christmas morning we'd have a breakfast and then cinnamon roll city, baby, all day.
I like
Love
that.
that.
A homemade cinnamon roll, especially on Christmas morning. That's a nice touch. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
a good smell wafting through the house.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Heck yeah.
So my question is, when you mention birthday cakes, is how many siblings do you have?
We just have one older brother.
Okay, so twice a year. Oh, and I guess Dad got a cake too.
I don't know. I don't remember if my dad was much of a cake guy.
Okay.
He was more of a bourbon guy.
Okay.
He would save his calories for whiskey.
But twice a year, you were getting cake for you and your brother, so that was 2 big times to look forward to, both birthdays.
Yep, and we'd just be pooping weird colors for a week.
That's pretty good.
Heavy on the dye.
So that means when you poop, you turn around and look to see what's happening this time.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like eating beets. You get very concerned for a while until you remember you ate beets.
Well, I've had that happen when I eat asparagus and then go pee, and then you go, "Oh yeah, I had asparagus last night."
Oh man, I this could
like
go
that
down
burnt smell.
Down. This
Oh, are we going down
traveling
a?
the
This
road.
might not be a path to go down.
Yeah,
is what
but,
you're saying?
I did have a squid ink fried rice one time. That will get you concerned.
A what?
Squid ink fried rice.
I'm sorry. A what in fried rice? Not just fried rice.
Squid
Ink.
ink.
It's apparently very
Oh.
popular in Hong Kong. There's a restaurant here that we know the owners pretty well, and,
Yeah.
and they're really cool, and they have it on their menu. And I was like, I got to try that. Like that seems interesting. You never forget it.
I've never been to Hong Kong, so you know what? I'll take a pass on the squid for sure.
I don't mind squid. It's the ink part that might, get me, because I don't, squid, calamari, I put it in a paella or something like that. But the ink part of it is, I'm sure, what got you concerned.
Well, it was what. It's what got me concerned. But anything that they cook there is generally pretty good. So I'm like, okay, seems weird. Let's try it. Don't think I'll try it again, but there you go.
Well, I am so proud of you for trying it once. Mad respect.
All right, question number 3 in the 5 questions. Best decade for music, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Okay. Boy.
Again, you can have a little time to think about that one. Think about. Are you a music guy?
Yeah, I'm okay. So I'm a music guy, but my brain works so weird where other people separate things into decades or genres, or like I listen to just everything. So again, I'm trying to formulate a list in my head
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
what came in the 70s, what was in the 80s, what was in the 90s. Wow. 90s music was pretty great. 80s music might be better, but probably not. But it could be. But then again, who am I to say? Except for my preference, so I'm the only one who can say it. Oh boy.
So let me ask
difficult.
you, when you think of 90s music, what are you thinking? What's the genre you're going to?
Great question. And Goo Goo Dolls,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Nirvana,
Yeah, Nirvana,
Grunge
man.
music
So that's
was
good
pretty-
too.
Pretty big.
kind of that grunge style.
But then, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
But then in the 80s, I'm thinking like more. I don't even know what the right. See, I start sentences knowing that I'm not going to be able to remember a word, and then I get myself into a pickle. The problem is I know that the pickle's coming, and I still do it. And I hate that. Anyway, 80s. I'm thinking. I just did it again. Oh, that drives me nuts. Different genres. So I'm like, I'm thinking Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And I'm also thinking like rock, like classic rock, like 80s rock.
Yeah.
Big hair bands.
Right.
But even in the beginning of the 80s, so you've got kind of like your Queen that kind of goes into there, and you've got
Yeah.
You got a little overlap from 70s
you know,
and 80s.
So you get a
To some.
little taste of everything.
But I think
So I enjoy like the 70s too, but I'm gonna leave 70s alone. I'm gonna
Okay.
leave that for for another day. But between 80s and 90s, man, that's a hard choice. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say 90s,
Okay.
even though I feel like I should choose 80s.
Okay.
There's not a wrong answer. I think all 3 decades kind of have,
They have their merit.
Yeah, absolutely. You can make an argument for each.
I think 90s would be more nostalgic because that music was popular and new when I was growing up. The 80s, I wasn't really listening to new. I mean, I was born in 84, so 90s is like when I really would start listening to popular music or things like that. So
that makes sense.
I think 90s would probably be more nostalgic for me.
Yeah, I get that because I think that's probably when I started like watching MTV was like in the 90s or whatever, and you'd see like Smells Like Teen Spirit on the on TV. You're like, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah. And for me, I'm kind of weird, Matt, because I go from the 70s where I really enjoyed classic rock, the old Leonard Skinner and Kansas and Steve Miller Band and things like that. But in the 80s, I think like that it was kind of that pop decade, a lot of one-hit wonders, but it was also the big hair bands, with Warrant and Bon Jovi and things like that.
Oh, man, but New Wave is so
New Wave.
catchy.
But then when I go to 90s, see, I don't go grunge. That's my favorite decade for country music. That's when I like, Clint Black and Garth Brooks and George Strait, Dwight Yoakam, all those kind of artists was kind of what I think about when I think 90s. So, but I'm an older guy, so anyway. All right, I want to ask you, Matt, when you started your YouTube channel, and by the way, when you did your 2-year last Friday, the 2-year anniversary of you being on YouTube, I absolutely loved the intro and the stroll down memory lane, if you will. All the different videos, all the different sets. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, see, I've always wanted to do like a video at the beginning of my live streams, but I haven't been. Everybody does it and it's all nice and fancy, but I just haven't been able to put anything together. But I wanted to do something like that for like an anniversary stream. It's been 2 years, and in some ways it feels longer than that. Other ways it feels not quite that long. But going back and looking at all my old videos and where it started and all my weird phases of not being able to talk out loud and just pure whispering. It's a weird route here to where we're at today, but a lot of fun to go back and look.
And I loved your different sets. I mean, the different sets and how that's evolved to this, badass set you have right now with your ADHD behind you and all of that. I mean, you really kind of have evolved into really cool.
It was weird because all those places, the majority of them were Airbnbs. So I'd arrive in a tiny apartment and I'd have to figure out how to make something look acceptable and like where I could possibly do it. So typically it was me being like on the opposite side of the camera was a wall where my children were sleeping or my wife was sleeping. So that's why I was so quiet. I had to be because she was a travel nurse, had to get up really early. I couldn't wake up her or the kids. So I'd have to talk like this. And I didn't think it was that bad until I go back and watch them now. And I'm like, that's pretty bad. But I don't care.
Yeah,
it's just,
I thought it was great.
It was either whisper, die, or don't make videos. So I chose whisper.
I think that was a good selection right there.
Oh yeah. I did. The montage was nice though. I'll say.
Okay, I want to ask when you mentioned it earlier. Your dad was a bourbon guy. And is that where your interest in bourbon came from, or how did you? And I'm sure you get this question all the time. So I'm sorry if you're tired of answering this question. Like, oh, here we go again. But people watch you on the videos, and people who are listening, if you haven't checked him out, go definitely check out Matt's channel on YouTube. Subscribe. How do you describe your delivery first of all, and then we'll get into how you got into bourbon. So I want people to understand you are entertaining. It's not just you reviewing a bottle. I mean, my wife loves watching your shows with me. So, I mean, you have some great entertaining value.
So I've never answered that question before, and I've never like really verbalized it, or even I've never actually told anybody like my approach to why I make the videos the way I do.
Yeah.
But I'm not telling anybody a bunch of history. I'm not telling anybody a bunch of information about the distillery or how products are made. I'm kind of just grabbing a bottle, just like a normal person would grab a bottle. And if I know something about, I'm sure that I give some random facts or bits of information that aren't necessarily on that bottle, but I'm picking up a bottle and like, if there's no age statement on it, then there's no age statement. I don't care if it's rumored to be something, or if there's no, like, if it doesn't say where it's distilled at, then that's not disclosed. Like, I'm not digging and doing a bunch of research on bottles because the average person isn't. I'm just grabbing a bottle off the shelf, looking at it, reading what's on the bottle, pouring it, swirling the heck out of it, because that's what I love to do, and just tasting it and giving my notes and just being myself. I mean, I tried to do some like history before, and eventually, no matter how hard you try, you're going to eventually fail and screw up. And I don't feel like I don't want that kind of pressure where I have to get everything right. I just chose.
When you say fail and screw up, does that mean you get those people trying to fact check you and call you out, or what do you mean by fail? And
like, I don't know.
Okay.
Saying somebody's alive who's dead. It's like saying the master distiller at this place is somebody who retired from there 40 years ago.
You mean actually
like,
getting things wrong? Okay, gotcha.
Right. Like, I know about bourbon like a lot of people do, but I'm not the guy to go to for all the historical information and all. Like, there's a lot of channels out there who can give you that. Mash and Drum Jason is awesome for that. If I want to learn about where this came from and that product's history, that's where I'm going to learn.
Yeah.
You don't come to me to learn. You come to me to watch a giant man in a garage enjoying whiskey or not enjoying it, depending.
But nobody would know you're in a garage. Again, your setup, people watching that. I had no idea where you recorded your shows until Dan and Julie made a visit to you, and I watched that video, and I went, "Oh, dude, he's actually out in the garage. Look at his setup. He's making
crazy.
that look freaking awesome out in a setup like that." Because we still want to kind of get into video a little bit, and I'm like, I don't have the perfect place to record a video, and so I haven't really done it. And I'm like, man, Matt Porter really made that look great in a space like that.
He took a very minimalist space and made it look really nice.
Very impressed.
You see my wooden wall behind me?
I did. It was like a workbench.
That was ordered from Amazon.com. It's literally vinyl. It's held up by posts.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, it just looks like wood because it's blurred a little bit, but it's just plastic.
It looks great. And even the set you had before this, where you had like the workbench off to the side of you, looked like a workbench. Did you build that, or was that in the garage when you got there and you're like, you're chuckling?
I build that.
Of course you did.
I haven't built anything ever. I built a YouTube channel. That's about it.
Yeah.
But no, that workbench was there, and I tried to make it work the best I could. And I had to sit on a stool because it was elevated. The workbench was elevated on a different level.
Yeah.
And I wasn't comfortable on a stool at all. I felt not at my best. So back to a chair I went, and now I'm super comfy and making better videos, I think.
Yeah, I think you are as well. Okay. Have you poured number 3 yet?
Oh, yeah, and I tasted it.
And you tasted it. So you've had 1 and 2. Where does this rank with those first 2?
I feel like it's different. And when I start talking about after I taste number 4, when I rank these things, I think I know what number 3 is. I think.
Really? Okay. I love it when Carter tries to call his shot, so I'm waiting for you.
I do it all the time and fail miserably.
Okay. So number 1, I got a little bit ahead of myself, and I was like, "Oh, it tastes like a dusty." I didn't say it was one, but I said that's kind of what it reminded me of.
Sure.
Number 2, I have no idea. It's really good. Number 3, I think I know.
Okay.
But I'll taste it again on the way back, and I hate to, you know what I mean?
No, I think you should come back down through them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that.
So what I'd be curious is, as you go through your first tasting, give us your top 2 on that first tasting, and let's see if that changes as you come back through.
Okay.
So out of 1, 2, and 3 right now, is there a 1 and 2, or you need to go ahead and try 4 before you want to rank any of them?
This is a difficult flight here. Man. Oh, geez. I don't know. I like 1 and 2 are very unique to me. And I don't think I've had them as often as I've had number 3.
Okay.
And I would say I think that 1 and 2 might be my 1 and 2. And number 3 is extremely good. But part of me thinks it might not be as special as number 1 and 2 for some reason.
Okay. Well, I like how he's kind of analyzing these.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. I want to talk about something that you're doing. Well, let me talk about 2 things. You recently did the Match Madness, which was a blind bourbon. It wasn't just bourbon, though, what? You had rye. Did you have some scotches and Irish in there as well? There's a whiskey
couple of them, just to throw some people off. It was a blind tasting tournament where I invited a bunch of different YouTube channels to just in tournament format, blind taste stuff to crown a champion at the end, which I don't know how the heck that played out the way it did, but it did.
Which was hilarious.
I wanted it to be completely off, just weird. Like nobody knows what to expect. And one of them I sent, I think It's Bourbon Night. I sent Sarah from It's Bourbon Night. And I think Perry from My Bourbon Podcast, I sent them all Old Forester products with a 2012 birthday bourbon at the end, which Sarah spat out. And I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Really? I don't remember that one.
Well, she was trying not to get slammered, which makes total sense. But in retrospect, hindsight, I wouldn't have sent that had I known.
Yeah.
But no, so then I just wanted to make it just a total guessing game with nothing ever being the same. So different pours every flight, a different approach. Some of them contained a proper 12 that was in the trunk of a Corolla for about a year.
Holy cow.
It tasted awesome.
It actually tasted better after the trunk than fresh out of the bottle, fresh crack.
Yeah. Well, and so people know when you say
hold on. Can we hold on a second, guys? My heater just turned on. I'm going to go shut that off real quick.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Wait, hold on one second. Sorry.
Nope, you're good.
Super loud. Sorry about that. Thing is so loud, right in my ear.
Not anymore. You're not.
Not anymore.
All right, where were we at? I forgot.
So we were talking about your Matt Madness, the tournament, and what I wanted.
That was just
Yeah,
I just wanted to have a fun time and collaborate with a bunch of other channels and just, I don't know, enjoy whiskey together and have fun.
It seemed like you kind of had a theme in all of the pours that you did. There was something that kind of tied the spirits that you were putting out in that particular flight together, which I thought was pretty cool.
You thought that there was a method to my madness?
I did. Would I be completely wrong in thinking that?
I would love to hear it, because if there is some sort of weird pattern, that would be amazing.
Okay, well,
it was very random.
Was it really?
As far as the flights, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm way off there.
I mean, some of them.
But what I want to make sure people know is that and go back and watch it. It's still on YouTube. It's a fun watch, even though maybe you didn't see it live when you were doing these, because that was cool that you did these live every week. It wasn't a recorded show. But when we say it was a tournament, how did you come up with the bracket? How did you know who you're going to put against who to kind of, get this down to a number that we have a champion?
Well, so people thought that there was, what do you call them in a tournament? Like
Favorites,
rankings, or seeds or whatever.
Seeds, yeah. There were no seeds. There's no seeding. There were some people who I wanted to see compete against each other.
Grease and Dan.
I want to see Dan Shook and Grease go head to head, and then I put Will and Sean against each other in the next bracket because I figured it'd be fun to see like who moved out, like if Dan and Sean or Will and Grease could face each other later. Same thing with Chad and Sarah on the other side of the bracket. I just put people together who I knew each other or were comfortable on stream together, and then just seeing how it could possibly work out towards the end. But that got just destroyed. Everything got completely like, I got children screaming. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. We don't hear them at all.
But no, it just, everything went just totally sideways, which you would expect in a tournament. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. So the way that in my head I thought it could possibly have planned out, or even part of it, it didn't at all. It just completely just went off the rails right from the beginning.
And I thought it was great. I enjoyed watching them every week when you had those. I know that there was some gaps in between there from, scheduling purposes or whatever it was. Right. But man, when it was coming on, I definitely wanted to watch it and check it out.
Well, I had to see if Grease was going to pull it out at the end. I was like, Grease is going to win this thing? No.
And he did.
The whole thing was just so weird. And just learning about how unprepared I was throughout the entire tournament as far as rules are concerned. Yeah, that was a problem. Next year will be better.
Okay,
next year will probably be worse.
That was going to be my question. Do you is this going to be an annual thing now for the?
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Awesome. That was a lot of fun to see. So, and are you expanding the field because there's new channels coming on once in a while and things like that. And I have somebody in mind that I would love to see invited into your tournament. And he was on your show.
I would love to expand it, but I think that if I do that, then there's going to have to be more people competing in the early rounds. So instead of like 2 people competing, it would have to be like a foursome or a threesome, because it does take many, many weeks to get to the championship. And it's also a ton of work on my end to get those things to people to do it. And then scheduling is also a problem, trying to get everybody on the same page for a certain night that everybody can do it. So I might expand it a little bit, but I can't see it being much bigger unless I add just multiple people to the first round. So it'd be like a grouping of 4, and the person who wins moves on. Then maybe do it that way. Who are you thinking for? Who did you want to see?
Dave Jennings.
Dave Jennings.
Rare Bird.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. He'd be fun.
He also selected the 90s as his favorite.
Oh, yeah. Dave Jennings would be great. I can't imagine he'd want to hang out with me too much. But then again, you never know.
Well, I think so.
You never know.
I think that'd be right up his alley.
That would. I'll have to ask him, see if he's interested.
So what was the total number of participants last year in the tournament?
Oh boy, that's.
If you don't have it, no worries. I didn't count. I just started watching. So I just kind of every week. I didn't really pay attention to how the brackets were. Just every week, who's going against who. And a lot of nights you had a double header. You would do one matchup and then right after another on the same live stream.
I think there's in the 20s.
Okay.
The competitors to start with.
I do want to give a shout out to the Shelf Turds. I mean, I love their channel. I mean, his wife's crazy, but she's entertaining. My wife thinks she's hilarious. But the music and things that they came up with during your tournament, you talk about a couple of creative people. I don't know if it's both of them or one of them or who's doing that. I know he sings and does a lot of that, and she joins in. But Man, it was amazing.
Oh,
I was
God.
like so impressed.
That was the thing that I looked for most of all was those songs.
Oh man, like incredibly creative. And I think I asked David to remake the It's Bourbon Night theme song for theirs. And I just opened the door to wildness because he was like, "Do you want some more songs? Because I've got some ideas." And then it snowballed into what it was. And it was every week them coming up with just crazy music.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely awesome. I love David and Kira. They're the best.
Yeah, absolutely. They did a great job. All right, now I want to jump to the other thing that you're doing, which I think is so creative, so cool. We kind of mentioned it, I think, a little bit earlier, the UFC Flight Night. You have taken all the different weight classes that might be in UFC or boxing, and you are now putting 5 participants that are blind, not known to you, that your Patreons have sent in, and you're going to taste through each of these weight divisions and crown a particular champion in that division from a blind tasting, which I think is just brilliant. Did you come up with this idea, or did somebody suggest it to you? Where did this come from?
Okay, so last summer, I think I did something called like Summer Slam.
Yeah, I remember that.
I picked weight divisions, which were kind of similar, but there's just less of them. And then I had patrons vote on which bottles they wanted to compete for each weight class. So then this year I wanted to just expand it and make it more, oh boy, that I did it again with the word thing, interactive with patrons. So I wanted, like, the more I can interact with patrons and have them be a part of what's happening on the channel, the better. And so if I have, and it's always fun to win. I remember when I was doing Blendageddon on Mash and Drums channel, I'd get so excited, like wondering if he was drinking mine, or if he liked what I sent, or if he didn't like what I sent. So just that feeling, I was like, I want to get people involved. And this was a pretty, I don't know, it's weeks of content with all the different weight classes. So I don't know, we've done 2 weight divisions so far, and they've both been fun, and people have been sending wild stuff I haven't even tasted before, stuff that has no business being in a contest for being the best.
Are you serious? I didn't realize that. I have to go back and watch your first 2 shows. The last couple of weeks I haven't had a chance to do that, but I do want to watch those 2. And I'm excited for my weight class to be coming up pretty soon that I'm in.
You're in the lowest weight class, correct?
80, I am.
89?
I'm in the bantamweight. Yeah, 89 or below.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fitting.
Yeah, I'm a little guy. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. But that's a really cool idea that you came up with. I mean, I thought when I first saw that on your Patreon, I went, and I don't know how I missed it because I was late to the game and didn't have an opportunity to get in one into the middle weights or up into the heavyweight kind of division. But I still think I came up with what might be a contender in the bantamweight division. You want me to tell you what I sent you?
For the 80 to 89?
Yeah.
No, it's blind. What are you talking about?
I just wanted you to say yes so I could say no. Yeah. Are you drinking 4?
I just tasted 4. 4's funky. 4's a little bit different. A little bit.
Are you ready?
Oh man, pardon me?
Are you ready for question number 4 in the 5
Oh yeah,
questions?
you know what? I just heard 4 and I went my own direction with them.
No. I asked you about the poor number 4, then I kind of shifted on you.
Okay.
So question number 4 is this can be a little divisive. Some people kind of get their feelings hurt, if you don't answer the right way on this, but we'll see.
Okay.
The food dish, chili. Beans or no beans?
Beans all day.
Thank God.
What do you mean? No beans.
Thank you. We're in Texas. We're not from Texas. We live in Texas. And they think a spaghetti sauce is a chili. It's weird.
Yeah, what goes on a hot dog is chili.
That's garnish. I mean, even in Cincinnati, they call it chili and they put it over spaghetti because it doesn't have beans in it.
Yeah, it's more like a gravy like that, as that it is a dish.
if somebody invited me over for chili and I arrived at their household and they served me up a steaming hot bowl of chili and there were no beans in it, I would go home later that day and wonder what happened to that person's brain.
Yeah.
Because did they just forget? Did they forget the beans and then just not put them in there and pretend like I wouldn't notice? Or do they do it on purpose, trying to make bad chili?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like we're actually having a chili party here,
A chili cook-off
party here and with our group, and I bet there is going to be at least one or two that don't have beans in it.
Oh, there would be multiple. This is Texas. We're doing a food, wine, and whiskey in your own backyard, in my backyard, a chili cook-off on Saturday, November 13th. Goes from noon until people decide they'll leave. Might be one or two, who knows. But, yeah, there'll be all kinds of different chilies. A lady who owns a restaurant here said, can I bring a vegan chili? And absolutely. I don't know how it'll do in the blind tasting, but we'll see. But anyway, it should be a lot of fun. It's a big controversy here in Texas, beans or no beans. I never heard of it until I got to Texas, that you don't put beans in chili.
Well, yeah, I was in a competition at work cooking chili, and they disqualified my chili because I had beans in it. I was like, what? What's wrong with you? Like, just judge it on the taste.
Yeah.
You know?
So anyway, I'm glad that one didn't take much thought, Matt. You had the right answer very quickly.
I just tasted 4 again, and this is gonna be interesting because I'm overconfident here, so I'm just gonna kick it back a notch.
Is there anything that you want to call out now that you've had 4? Meaning, is there a distillery you think that's in here? Is there something that you go, this is so familiar, it comes from, this distiller, or I think it's this product, and we're not holding you anything, just wondering kind of where you are. You can change your mind next time through.
I think 4 has this weird tanniny note that I get off Brown-Forman products that I almost want to call it a Jack Daniel's barrel proof because of this weird tannin that I get on the finish. But then again, it's not as strong as I'm used to. So it might be like an Old Forester barrel proof single barrel or a Jack Daniel's barrel proof single barrel. That's where my mind is going.
Okay. And the other ones? Anything jump out at you on the other ones?
On the glasses?
As far as the distillery or anything that you as you drunk through 1, 2, and 3?
3. I think 3 is a Knob Creek pick.
Okay.
Man.
I have to look at the paper over here and see which one's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Now that I was pretty sure about that going through it, going back though, tastes totally different. But I've learned to go with my first reaction rather than what I'm tasting going back through them.
Okay.
So I'll stick to. I thought it was very, very familiar with like an older Knob Creek, but that's just what I was thinking.
Is there one that you didn't like in the 4?
I think my least favorite was number 4.
Okay.
And there's certainly nothing wrong with it. It's actually very flavorful. It's high proof. There's just something on the finish that personally I don't absolutely love. And that's this weird barrel tannin, red winey kind of thing that is a bit drying. And when I say a bit, I mean it's pretty friggin' drying.
Yeah.
It's kind of sucks the moisture out, and it's magnificent until the finish, and the finish just kind of takes a little bit off that I don't quite enjoy the most. But these were all really, really good.
So I've got a quick question for you. So is there a proof point that you just absolutely prefer? I think
Your sweet spot.
Your sweet spot. What you like?
Oh man, it depends. It depends on the it's really hard to say. There's a lot of 100 proofs that I really, really enjoy. I really love Rebel 10-year. The Master's Keep from Wild Turkey last year was amazing. So a nice, well-aged 100 proof is fantastic. But as they get a little bit younger, I prefer a little bit higher proof. I don't know. I'd say I'll throw in the average and say 115 is a great proof.
Yeah.
But I love Elijah Craig barrel proofs. Like those are my jam. It's like my favorite bourbon is an Elijah Craig barrel proof. And then I don't know. I'm all over the place, man. I'm
Nothing
sorry.
wrong with that.
No,
Nothing wrong.
no.
Yeah.
I would say like on an average, I like between like 110 and 120. You know, just in that area. But like I can go drink Elijah Craig barrel proof or a Jack Daniel's barrel proof or something like that, and I'll really, really like it. So I don't know. You know.
So, which is funny though, because the lower proofs today, glasses 1 and 2, I feel like I just enjoyed them more because to me they're different, they're dusty, they're sweet, they're oaky, and they're just great bourbons. 3 and 4 were higher proof, and then it's almost like glasses 1 and 2 really didn't have anything to hide, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they are.
They're just great. Like once you get into a high proof, it's like some of the imperfections can be hidden a little bit. But when you have something that's low proof, if it's not great, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. And I thought that 1 and 2 were really, really good.
So is that your top 2? Or do you need to kind of go through, you know? So I'm going to get ready to reveal to you what you're drinking when you're ready.
Yeah, this is going to be embarrassing, and I'll tell you to scrap the whole thing. I'll go on some cancelable tirade after you reveal things that make me look stupid. You won't be able to air this episode.
I will tell you right now, I've been very impressed with the way you've dissected these because you're not doing too bad. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. You know, it's really interesting too. Like, proof in, I don't know, that we're talking proof in bourbon and stuff like that, or proof in rye or whatever. We had that cognac episode. I don't know if you drink any cognac or any other spirits, but man, just how much 80 proof does. It's huge finish, it's huge flavor and everything. And I just think to myself, as a kind of more of a bourbon guy, I go, yeah, there's no way it could be that enjoyable. But
that's a great point because we were recently out in Kentucky and did some barrel picks out there, and when we were at Buffalo Trace, Freddie Johnson let us know that their pick panel, the people who pick their certain bottles, whatever they're doing, their releases, they pick at 60 proof or below is what they drink it at.
Yeah, I've heard that before because the imperfections really come out in a very low. The lower proof you go, that's 30% alcohol. That's literally, it's almost like drinking not whiskey. It's not whiskey
like
at all.
A beer.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought that was very curious, but it made sense once he explained why to you, what you just said. They're looking for the imperfections, and that's where you start to really see those. They're not covered up by the alcohol.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, when I taste something that I absolutely love at a low proof, that proof point doesn't bother me anymore at all. It's just something that's really enjoyable and makes you think a little bit more and just makes you enjoy all the nuances of something that's, wow, I just use the word nuances.
Look at that.
Son of a bee.
There you go.
Hanging out with us, man, makes you, I'm just saying.
Expands the vocabulary.
The nuances of the details. Wow.
Whoa.
Getting specific.
Nice. Okay, so I want to ask you, first, what any other thoughts on the 4 samples?
I don't think so. My order from favorite to least favorite, and least favorite's not
that it's bad. Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah.
Like these are all fantastic, but favorite 2, 1, 3, 4.
2, 1, 3, 4. Are we sticking with that order?
I
can reveal.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
So
Okay, so number 4 that, and you were right on, man. I was impressed.
this was my
Jack
favorite
Daniel's
whiskey.
single barrel.
Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye.
Rye.
That's okay. That's why it threw me off a little bit, because I picked up on every single thing I pick up on the Jack Daniel's barrel proof,
Yes, you did.
but it was slightly different, where I was like, why is it different? It's because it's a rye. Okay.
Yeah.
I've said this before, and Jack Daniel's barrel proof is a bottle. If I get sent, typically I'll pick up on it, or if it's blind, it's something that I can pick up on. And that's really weird that it's the rye. That's cool. That's
Okay.
really good. I love that rye.
Yeah, this was first released last year, and I thought it was fantastic when this came
I
out.
think it was my favorite thing that got released last year.
And again, $60 a bottle. It's a great value. When these come out again this year, you can't.
Are they going to do another one this year, or are they
going back to the Heritage? I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know whiskey? The world's top whiskey taster. Do you know if they're going back to?
If they're doing what they're doing for the Heritage this year?
Yeah, are they doing another rye, or are they going back to the?
No, it's called the Coy Hill.
Oh, really?
They're hazmat, 140 plus proof bourbon.
Oh, cool.
That'll be popular.
Yes. I'm sure they'll just sit on the shelves collecting dust.
Number 3 that you had that was a straight from the barrel
Okay, wow. I was like,
Blanton's.
I thought that was a regular Blanton's. I was like, what in the hell?
So I didn't mention it. The rye, the Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye was 131.9, and this straight from the barrel Blanton's is 128.5.
Okay. Yeah, so what I think I called that a Knob Creek. It's weird. Huh. That's so funny. Now that I go back to it, it's pure cherries and Buffalo Trace. That's hilarious. Like, once you know, it's weird.
And tell me again, 2 was your favorite or 1 was your favorite?
I picked 2.
As your favorite. So number 1 is the runner-up in this flight is
Elijah Craig 18.
Yeah.
No kidding.
You were right about the kind of dusty, funky thing, though.
And the age on it. And I thought
You know what? That's the older. Is it the older bottle or the newer bottle?
This is
I don't even know.
This is 2019, yeah.
So Elijah Craig 18 gets kind of a bad rap, and I've never owned a bottle of it, but now I've had it twice. I've tasted it twice. I'm getting a bottle of it. I don't care what people think. I like that.
Absolutely.
That's really good.
So I'm going to ask you to go into the memory banks, and I think I know the answer. I'm just going to hear you say it. This is 90 proof, 18 year. What would you? I'm assuming you like this way better than a 90 proof 12 year from Weller.
I would imagine, unless number 2 is Weller 12, which is funny.
No, I just you did your thing on Weller 12 a few months back, and I just wondered if you remembered how you liked that versus what you're thinking about this 90 proof. A little bit more age on it, but
that would be an interesting comparison.
If I'm being honest, I like the Weller 12 90 proof better than the 18 year. But we're all different, right?
Oh yeah,
right. Well, now you pull out Weller 12 and tell me that I would. Yeah, see, I'm not falling for this trick.
No, you're not. You're not. You're right, because you remember number 2 had some proof to it, and it's a little bit more. Yeah, I think it's proper that we're drinking your bottle of it, and you picked a.
This is
a Knob Creek pick.
15.
That's weird.
15 years.
Why did I think 3 was a Knob Creek number? Yeah, 2 is really good. I didn't think that there was that big of a jump in proof between 1 and 2. That drink's a lot lower proof than 120.
It does. It does. To me, this is one of my. I've blinded this against a bunch of picks. This is one of my favorite picks.
This is a 15-year, 7-month, comes out of Hell or High Water, which is a speakeasy bar in Louisville. They picked this.
Holy crap, that's good.
And it's one that we thought was fantastic, so I thought we ought to share a little more with you.
They do the coolest thing there, because you can buy a bottle at the bar. Like, do you have any extra bottles of this pick? Yeah, we'll sell it to you. And if it's like, How much was that?
$60.
$60. It's like, yes.
For a 15-year, 7-month bourbon. Yeah, I'm like,
That
really?
is so good.
Yeah. They had a Russell Reserve 10-year single barrel that they picked too. That was just absolutely fantastic.
It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So
whoever's doing their picks is doing a good job.
So
and everyone's kicking themselves for not buying more of those aged Knob Creeks when they were available.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, I would always pick up a bottle when I would see them out at places, but I kick myself for going, why didn't you pick up, a couple and put one or two away?
Yeah.
I guess because I never thought they would go away. I thought they'd still be, coming out every year. But
I know.
Nope. They gone. Now they're blending them down to 100 proof and
selling them as
$100
and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm glad that you got your pick, and this is going to be the new standard, right? 9-year, 120 proof. This is for the pick program.
Yeah. I like that I like the bottle style a little bit better on the new one though, and I definitely like the wax better.
Wax is way better. Synthetic cork, is this still a synthetic?
Yeah, it's a synthetic. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I like the bottle better. I'm just impressed that Knob Creek kind of won this flight when we had the straight from the barrel and a Elijah Craig 18, solid JD. But I think this is a solid bottle.
Oh yeah.
But we started off talking about what I thought about Knob Creeks, and then I love them. So that doesn't surprise me at all that I won.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me either because I think it's just a quality product.
This one just has like a lot of like cherry. I mean, you can actually like smell that's what we're drinking right now. You can actually kind of smell that it's going to be like viscous.
Yeah, that's a completely different whiskey than the new picks. And mine versus that, they're completely, totally opposite sides of the world.
Yeah. Not that either one's bad. They're both fantastic in their own right. It's just, it's a different kind of, I don't know if the process has changed or what's changed, but it's just different. It's a little bit different. I don't know if it's the age that's kind of given it what it has, but it's they're definitely different.
Yeah, I like both of these. So, yeah, I'm a huge Knob Creek fan.
All right, Matt, as we finish up this episode, we got the last question for you.
Okay.
So this is your final nightcap. You're going up to sing with the angels. This is it. You can have a pour of whatever you want. I mean, it could be something that you've never had and really wanted to have. It's available. It could be something that you enjoyed so much you want another pour of it. It could be anything you want. What would that final pour be?
King of Kentucky.
Oh.
That's one of those things where I know I'll never have a bottle of it, but that's the dream, is to have a bottle of that one day where I can just share it with people and really, like, that's my jam. And that Knob Creek, honestly, if those it's got the proof, it has the age. That's that's the best of the best. It's like what barrel strength bourbon should be. I don't know. King of Kentucky is my jam, and I don't know. It's my favorite thing I've ever tasted, and I've had a lot of other crazy stuff, but that's just been my favorite thing, and I wish I had an infinite supply.
Yeah,
I love that you said that, because it was when we answered these questions. That was my pick. I've never owned a bottle, but we had a friend of ours up in the New
Jersey area.
New Jersey, New York area, send us a sample to do a blind. He did a blind with us, and that was in there. And I didn't know what it was when we drank it, but you called it out, but it was absolutely
I was
fantastic.
It was like everything that Brown-Forman has to offer, but old and viscous and just like, I mean, it tastes like a special bourbon. I mean, it truly does. So, yeah, we were lucky to get a sample. I wish we had more.
Well, Matt, thanks for coming on the show, man. We really appreciate you taking some time and hanging out with us. We've been wanting to have a conversation with you. I know it's been a little bit of a kind of getting it scheduled and everything, but man, I just really appreciate you, coming on our show and letting us visit with you. We have a lot of listeners on our show that I don't know if they know who you are, and I definitely wanted them to get exposed to who you are and go check you out on YouTube specifically, because I think what you're doing there, tasting all these different bourbons and the other things that you're doing with your tournaments and the flights and things like that. It's just something, if you watch YouTube, you follow some bourbon channels, yours needs to be included in that list of YouTube whiskey tubers that they follow. So
one of the most entertaining for sure.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's flattering. It's really weird being invited to do stuff like things like this. I never thought that I'd be invited on podcasts or any. It's just weird to me, but I love it. It's a lot of fun, and it's great to put faces to names and just meet new people who enjoy the same stuff. So thank you guys so much for having me on. You also gave me a nice excuse to have 4 little pours in the afternoon.
Before you got to go do your family stuff, you're feeling loose. You're feeling good.
Yeah,
now.
you're good.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it so much. Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it. And maybe I can have you guys on a live stream one of these nights.
Oh, we'd love to do that. We'd love to do that.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey in Your Own Backyard. And until our next episode, enjoy your next pour.
Love it.